The first injury report of Week 6 for the Green Bay Packers, where they take on the Cincinnati Bengals after their bye week, just came out minutes ago. Now, the Green Bay Packers did start practicing this past Monday, and we got the awesome news that Christian Watson was being activated off the IR or PUP with the designation to return, as well as Jacob Monk, but there still were some players out of practice Monday and some other starting offensive linemen returning to practice. But today we have the first official injury report of Week 6 with all the designations. So let's go over all the designations on the injury report here Wednesday for both the Green Bay Packers and the Cincinnati Bengals. I'd highly suggest going down and hitting that subscribe button if you want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers this season, from injury updates, game live streams, game previews, PFF reviews, tape reviews. You'll find all of it here on this channel. So if you're stopping by for the first time and want to stick around for everything Green Bay Packers, go down and slam that subscribe button. Quickly, before we dive in, wanted to go over my sleeper picks for the upcoming Thursday night game tomorrow, Eagles versus Giants. Link down in the description. Download Sleeper, use my code BAS, B-A-S, for a first-time deposit match, 100% up to $100. And for a limited time, they're doing an awesome promo. All new users get a free $20 play, no deposit needed. So you might as well just go claim that using the link down in the description. Get your free $20 play and make your picks. My picks for this Thursday are Jalen Hurts, more than half a passing yard, a free pick there. Cam Scattaboo, more than 49.5 rushing yards. Devontae Smith, more than 48.5 receiving yards. And I also have Jackson Dart, more than a half a passing touchdown. Let me know your picks down in the comments below. You can make your picks for Thursday or any of the games Sunday or both there on Sleeper. All right, so now let's dive down into this injury report for the Green Bay Packers, bringing it up on the screen. As usual, it's a pretty long injury report. I know a lot of you probably will be looking at this going, what in the world did they do over the bye week? The bye week is supposed to be here for us to get healthy. The one thing that continues with the Green Bay Packers year after year is they will list quite literally everything on the injury report, and most of these players will have no designation heading into Sunday. A lot of these players won't even have questionable, doubtful, or out. They'll just simply be ready to go Sunday. The Packers, I think, like to add every single little injury on the injury report to kind of throw a little smoke up in the air for the opposing team. But nonetheless, let's first go over the two players on this report that did not participate. First of which is Anthony Belton, their offensive tackle, rookie, their second-round pick this season with an ankle injury. Still, did not participate. He also didn't practice Monday. Then at the bottom here, the one that we don't want to see, and it's Devontae Wyatt, defensive lineman with his knee injury, did not participate. The Packers also worked out a slew of defensive tackles on Monday, and I have some inside sources that say Devontae Wyatt might just end up on IR. Now, it's not a confirmed thing. They're going to let him go through this week, but there is a chance Wyatt could end up on IR, which would put him out the minimum next 4 weeks. I hope that doesn't happen, but it seems very, very unlikely Wyatt would even be available for this coming week, maybe not even next week against Arizona. And this is a week-to-week, multi-week injury, this knee injury for Devontae Wyatt, which, is a big blow to this defense. They don't have a ton of depth behind him at that 3-tech spot. Now I think Warren Brinson will be active finally here against the Bengals, but we could also see the Packers go out and potentially trade for a cheap veteran from another team, some team like the Jets, who could be having a fire sale right now. But it is unfortunate to see Devontae Wyatt still not practicing. He's been huge for this defense. Now let's go from the top of the list to the bottom, not including the two players we just mentioned. Aaron Banks is practicing yet again. He was on Monday. Groin injury, he was limited. JJ Enagbare, ankle injury, limited. Nate Hobbs with a concussion. That's a new one. I didn't realize he had a concussion. He's limited. Tucker Kraft, elbow, upgraded to a full participant now. Jordan Love, left thumb and ankle. So added to the injury report here is an ankle injury for Love, but it seems very small. I mean, he's already a full participant. That would tell me Packers likely just listing anything they can on the injury report. At least that's what it seems like to me. He's full. Now, we do have Brandon McManus on here. Right quadricep limited. That is definitely something to monitor moving forward. Obviously, that's his kicking leg. Jacob Monk here is a limited participant designated to return from the IR/PUP. Jordan Morgan, knee injury, is a full participant today. Zach Tom, oblique injury, limited. So Zach Tom has practiced on Monday and now today. Bodes well for him playing against the Bengals and returning. Rasheed Walker, quadricep, limited. Christian Watson, knee injury, and is limited. And there's been clips even today in pads. Although it was limited, he's moving around out there. And if you watched my video on Monday, you saw that Christian Watson is nearing a return, and he looks good. He's just 9 months after this ACL injury. And even if he returns next week against the Cardinals, you know, that's so similar to that Adrian Peterson ACL return, which is just crazy. I mean, Watson has been so ahead of schedule throughout the entire offseason. And I know a lot of people, you know, aren't as excited because he continues to get hurt. But here's the thing, man. If Christian Watson can stay healthy, and I know that's a big if, what he can give to this offense with now Matthew Golden in the mix, what Romeo Doubs has been capable of, right? There's a lot that he can add into this offense. So that's great to see. Savion Williams, groin injury. He's also limited. And then again, we already talked about Devontae Wyatt and Anthony Belton, the two only players that did not participate. Now, as we move forward, it seems like this week, both Belton and Wyatt likely will be out of the game against the Bengals. But I honestly think everyone on this list, outside of Watson and Monk, who haven't been activated yet, will be ready to play versus the Bengals. I don't see Christian Watson playing this week. I could potentially see his return against Arizona at the earliest, and probably the same for Jacob Monk. Now to quickly go over the Cincinnati Bengals injury report. At the top, we have Jamar Chase limited with a veteran rest day. We have Dylan Fairchild, a guard, knee injury, did not participate. DJ Hill, defensive tackle, ankle injury, full participant. Wide receiver Charlie Jones, Achilles injury, limited. Guard Lucas Patrick was designated to return from IR. Obviously, we know Lucas Patrick very well for being a longtime Green Bay Packer guard and a pretty solid one, a versatile one at times for this offensive line. He is slated to potentially return against his former team here. Calf injury, limited. Drew Sample, tight end, ankle, did not participate. And then Shamar Stewart, defensive end, ankle injury, limited participation. So as per usual, the injury report for the opposing team, much shorter than the Green Bay Packers. But again, they like to add pretty much every little injury onto their injury report. And overall, I still think the Packers, did get healthier, a lot healthier over their bye week. We have two IR guys potentially returning and a big one in Christian Watson. We have both starting offensive linemen likely returning this week in Aaron Banks and Zach Tom. And Zach Tom really is the most important player not named Jordan Love on this entire offense, in my opinion. So getting him back is huge. Now, the Devontae Wyatt injury update and news is unfortunate. Hopefully the Packers will be able to find success on the interior of that offensive line. Now, the Bengals do have the worst rated offensive line in the NFL, and now they traded for Joe Flacco, and obviously we know Flacco got the win against the Packers with the Cleveland Browns, but albeit the Browns defense much better than the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals offense isn't even as good as the Browns offense. I can fairly say that right now. Now, obviously they have much better wide receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but that offensive line is abysmal, and they really have no run game to show for. Whereas the Browns, Judkins has got going. They have solid wide receivers. Flacco got the ball out of his hands like in 1 second every time. He's going to have a short week, and he's a veteran. He's a guy that can really just step into any system and learn it quickly. But I would be very shocked if Flacco gets a win against the Green Bay Packers, 2 times in 3 weeks with 2 of the bottom of the league teams. I'm so shocked that the Bengals didn't go out and try to trade for someone like Jameis Winston on the Giants, who is quarterback number 3, when Flacco has really not been that much better, if better at all, than Jake Browning when you look at the stats and analytics. So don't really understand that there. I think I would rather be playing Jake Browning just because of the recency bias of Flacco beating us with the Cleveland Browns, but I really don't foresee that happening here with the Bengals. But that does it for the first injury report of Week 6, Packers versus Bengals in Green Bay. Hopefully the Packers can get a nice bounce back after a pretty nasty tie versus the Dallas Cowboys here against the Cincinnati Bengals outside of their bye week. The Matt LaFleur-led Green Bay Packers usually do pretty well after a bye week, so I do have high confidence. But I really appreciate you guys coming by to this video. Leave a like down below if you did enjoy it. I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, go Pack Go.